Today I'm going to introduce you to Liam. Now, I've been lucky enough to get to work with Liam and get to know him through NLP, and he is such an inspirational young man who is going to revolutionize the world. He had a story that had to be shared, and we're honored to be able to listen to it, to hear it, and to share it. So I hope that you get as much from it as I expect that you will. Now, Liam is an absolutely gorgeous soul. He was runner-up for Mr. Gay Pride, vice chairman of the Hay Mardi Gras, and a massive activist. He's currently working on Pride Active, which is a community-based organisation built to better support the LGBTI community. But his work goes beyond that. He has a bigger vision, as you'll hear in this little interview. And so without further ado, here's the interview.
So, Liam, the work that you do is so important, and I think you have such valuable things to say. But if we can take a step back, I'd really like to start with some of the struggles that you've had.
That's well, thank you first, Tammy. It's honestly, I'm so flattered to even be doing any of this work. And yes, a big motivator for all the work that I have done and will continue to do is from my previous experiences when I was younger, the struggles that I did experience. Some of those struggles do include when I had came out in my regional community, Hay, population 2,800
Wow.
at 15. Um, it wasn't
Yeah.
very easy. I had a very supportive family,
Yep.
and with that, I'm incredibly privileged because not everyone gets that. And I had some supportive family friends as well,
Mhm.
but the greater community were very unsure how to take it. And then the people, my fellow peers, the people my age, definitely saw it as a great opportunity to look at someone and be like, look how different this person is.
Yeah.
Let's treat them different. There's something wrong with them.
Mm. Yeah, not fun at all. And
No, definitely not.
so, with all of those struggles and all of the journey from 15 to now, what are some of the things you've learned along the way that you'd like to share with other people that might be going through something similar?
Um, that's an incredible question as well. Um, the biggest thing I always took when I did first come out, and that I still hold very dear to me, is that even though I was coming out for me, this isn't all just about me. When I
Mm.
decided to come out in high school, it was because what if there is somebody out there that can't take it as strong as that isn't as strong as I am, or isn't as privileged as I am, and then they're going to come out, and because I made a decision out of fear, it's so much harder for them. So um the biggest message I would give to anybody who feels like they're in a similar situation or is going through a similar struggle, or even just having a hard time being themselves, or being LGBTQI in today's world, it's still not easy for many people and in many places, especially. The biggest tip I would give them is to just really listen to their heart, really listen to what they know they deserve, and be aware of how much of an impact we all can have in the future. If we want to have that impact, we can decide that. We can be the one that makes the difference. We don't have to wait for somebody else. We can decide it if we want to.
Absolutely. I love that. You can decide it if you want to. Wow.
Thank you.
How empowering is that? And
It's
so,
that
sorry, go.
sorry. Sorry, Tammy.
No, that's okay.
Um yeah, that's honestly how I felt when I had that when I first thought that myself. Well, it was all just I want if my legacy is I'm the guy that came out at 15 and everybody bullied him and he was a loser and he was openly gay. If that was my legacy, that that would have been enough for me, because at least then I know somewhere down the track someone will see it and think, hey, he did that at 15, he did that at that age, he was sure who he was, and he copped that, but he didn't let that control his life. So maybe I can be who I am. Maybe I can live a life that I want to live.
Yeah, and you can, can't you? You can
You
absolutely live the life you want to live. Yeah.
you definitely can. And
Absolutely.
the construct of these regional barriers, geographic barriers, and cultural attitudes, they're definitely there. But I think people forget sometimes, especially in such a hyper connected world, how we can use the infrastructure we have to challenge that for the better, and how we can create positive, supportive communities, even though we might feel isolated. We don't have to necessarily leave our own community to move to a place that we'd feel safer to be ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. And I can't even be, I mean, I know that we've talked about it previously, but I can't even imagine how tough it is as a 15-year-old. 15-year-olds go through that massive identity crisis and trying to fit in socially and all that stuff anyway. It's such a massive developmental phase for that
Mm.
socialization period.
It-
And so that bullying, I can't even imagine what that does to someone's psyche and how hard that is to deal with. So well done on overcoming it.
Thank you. It definitely did present a lot of challenges, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that sometimes I do feel certain challenges still present that I am still working on. But the willingness to face it has been so incredibly empowering. And to know that I could have gone through that and I came out okay. Sometimes I think, oh, I'm late for work and I've had such a bad day. And then I think, I went through that and I turned out all right. So it will be okay.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. The empowerment of, you being able to decide and you being okay and knowing that on that intrinsic level. That's so powerful.
Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. And so given the torment and the kind of things you did go through as that kid being bullied and that 15-year-old, what advice, if you could give your younger self any advice now, what would it be?
It would probably be just to love more and care less. Um, yeah. To love more and to care less about what people were thinking of me, because I still did that and I did that so courageously, but I did care how people felt and it did still affect me. And then I did let people in, and then they had hurt me and made fun of me, particularly because me coming out as gay. They weaponized that against me in a few ways just to hurt me, because they thought they would pretend to be my friend and then be cool and go with the cool kids. But I would say love more as well, because those people, they didn't know what they were doing necessarily. They were confused young 15-year-olds, and they were just going off what society or what their own experiences within society had conditioned them to think what was appropriate. So in a way, it wasn't their fault at all. So I would just say, yeah, to care
Wow.
less about how their perceptions aren't my perceptions, and they don't define my reality.
No.
And to love more because they are still finding themselves, or will still finding themselves. And there's people that are 25 and think this and this about LGBTQI people, think trans people don't exist, and they think gay people should be killed. And that's terrible. But it also comes from such a place of misunderstanding and brokenness and sadness. So that's what I would say to myself when I was younger, and probably definitely to myself now as well.
Wow. And I love that because there is such power in love on a physical, emotional, spiritual level. Um, you know, I think we've kind of shared stories before, and it's interesting. Nelson Mandela was tortured for so many years. And as
Yes,
he walked towards the prison gate, he said, I could either forgive and let go, or forever be trapped as a prisoner in my own mind. And so we don't love and forgive for other people, we do it for ourselves. So I'm touched that that's
exactly.
one of your major learnings to give to yourself. Well
Oh,
done.
well, thank you, Tammy. I've never thought about it in that perspective before. So honestly, I have to say that just came straight from the heart.
Yeah.
But it is so true. When we do forgive ourselves, we give ourselves that power back as well. When we forgive other people, we give ourselves that power back too. And in
Yeah.
that forgiveness, there's that liberation.
Wow.
And I think that's what we all deserve.
Oh, you're gonna make me tear up. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I was worried I was going to cry.
That's okay. It makes it real. It makes it real. And that's part of what I adore about you is, you are genuine, you are authentic, and you do have that desire to help other people. So on
Thank
that
you.
note, you're welcome. So on that note, it leads me straight into, your plans for the future, because you've got some big plans in terms of Pride Active and, really creating a difference in the world for other people.
Yes, I definitely do. And I'm still trying to figure out how I can magnify that and how I know I'm not the most qualified person, but I do want to bring that community together and I do want to bring that attitude together. And if there's somebody who's more qualified, I would love to help them go into that position. In saying that though, I know how willing I am as well. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely not
absolutely.
trying to undermine myself.
No.
But I've been working with a few like-minded people in my own regional community on creating a platform known as Pride Active, where we're going to be a community-based platform that would have social get-together groups, meetings around rights and lobbying that affects LGBTQI people. Just essentially a group of people that just are getting together and trying to really connect and have that sense of belonging, that sense of connection, that sense of safety, and that empowering sense of leadership. Like they can be a leader in their community and they can help make that difference that we all want to make for the better in the end of the day. So we're definitely working on that and it's been so incredible. Still got a lot of work to do, but we'll have our first social get together at the end of this month actually. And we're looking at creating a small with this it's a bit tricky to explain. Or not really, but I get a bit tongue tied with it.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at creating regional hubs in regional New South Wales and having leaders of that Pacific community be there to represent that community. So then the issues that are happening are individualized or localized to that area instead of having somebody come in and try to fix an issue and then have to leave. Like there's so many great resources out there for LGBTQI people in regional Australia that kind of come and go because how limited they are with what they can do. So if we were coming from straight from the community, straight from the source to heal the source, I think we've got a great bunch of luck. So that's my
Yeah.
biggest project at the moment.
Wow. Wow. And I know that you said you're not most qualified, but I think you are. I think someone that's been there and walked that path and knows what's missing in the community, I actually don't think there's a better fit for it. But in saying that, if you were to call on people, if there was people to see this message, perhaps within my area, I live in a regional area, or externally, how could they start to help support you? How could you start to help support them? How can they get in contact with you?
They can get on contact with me. That's a great question. Thank you, Tammy. They can get on contact with me with my personal email if they would like. liammark16@gmail.
Yeah.
But that's exactly the point. A lot of people think too, like just because you live near Sydney, that you're supported, and that's not necessarily true. And not everybody lives in the center of the CBD, and not everybody has the same. And there shouldn't be that economic or geographic or cultural barriers when it comes to supporting minorities like that. So the more the absolute merrier. And I just think I'm assuming that there's other people that are as enthusiastic about this as I am.
I think there
So
are too.
fingers crossed to that.
Yeah.
Because yes, that's what I really want to do. I want to make sure like that we have that empowerment and that we become that voice for the community that we know we need.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. And so, as we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share to people who might be going through the journey or, considering getting on board with your mission?
Yeah, I would definitely say just if you're interested, message me. Even if you're just interested to speak more about any of the ideas that we've spoken about today or anything like that,
Yeah.
message me because we are looking at working with so many different organizations like Minus 18, Acon, Flourish Australia, some major organizations to help people with mental well-being, with leadership, with just social well-being as well, and ensuring
Yeah.
we all have that sense of belonging. So if you're interested in all that, message me. But also, I would like to say to anybody watching that that you do have the power to change your life, and then you can decide what's okay and what's not okay on how you're treated. And together, we can all change the world if we want to.
Oh, I think that's so beautiful. And it's such an important message because you're right. It's, everyone has that ability to say what's okay and what's not okay. Whether you're gay, lesbian, straight, transgender, middle-aged, young, we're all people at the end of the day. So I think that's a really beautiful
We
message.
Thank you, Tammy. I completely agree. We are all people in the middle. In the end of the day, we're all people, and we all face discrimination. We all face alienation in one way or another. But we do have to go back to that source of we are all people. We're all the same, and we all have the same intrinsic value. And if you feel like you're not being treated the same, there are ways you can change that, and you deserve to be treated equally, and you deserve to be loved for who you are.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I think that's a perfect way to wrap up. Thank you so much for sharing, this time with me to spread such an important message.
Thank you, Tammy. It's been an absolute pleasure. And honestly, I was so ecstatic when you messaged me with the proposal about doing this because, again, it's just been a pleasure. And to get that message out there to anybody that might need it, I couldn't think of a greater thing to do. So
Oh,
thank
beautiful.
you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to everyone who took the time to watch it.
Yes, thank you guys.
Beautiful.
Liam had some really beautiful insights, not just for the LGBTI community, but the wider group as a whole as well, all of us being people. If you want to get in touch with him about being part of the Gay Pride, then send him an email. The details are in the comments. But otherwise, let us know what your thoughts were, what your takeaways were from this interview. There were some beautiful lessons about loves and setting boundaries and, creating that idea of how we want to be treated and making choices. I'd really love to hear what you got from this interview. Let us know below. See ya.